Sometimes when I go back to high school or I go back to university, it's like returning to the scene of the crime, to be honest with you. But it does open up doors to be able to display the incredible power that God has to call absolute sinners out of their sin and deal with them in a way that's just filled with grace and mercy and love. And I think I really have a great understanding of that. And so then I'm able to, on maybe my best days or better days, to be able to display that with folks.
This is The Calling, a family life original podcast with Steve Smith that features conversations with pastors talking about the challenges they face in their personal and professional lives as they minister to others and share the gospel. Our guest for episode 22 is Pastor Joe Wagner of Christ Church in Wellsboro and Mansfield, Pennsylvania.
Now, I want you, before we are starting, I was going to say before we start, but too late, we've started. 2 locations, Wellsboro and Mansfield. Explain the setup of Christ Church, because I find it fascinating, and I think other people will as well.
Our Wellsboro location is on Route 6, pretty close to Wellsboro. That's kind of the mother church, and we meet twice a Sunday, 9 and 11 o'clock, but we really had a great desire to plant. And we wanted to plant actually in Mansfield. And so we have, we're right now, both congregations, campuses, because we were planning, we share an elder team, we share staff, but our Mansfield congregation is meeting at Allen Hall on the campus of Mansfield University. They just had their very first Sunday at Allen Hall. They've been bouncing around to a couple different places to find a forever home. Allen Hall is not their forever home, but they're meeting over there on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock with Pastor Josh McLaren. He started off here as a resident intern and then became pastoral assistant. And then about a year or so ago, he went through our elder internship program and became an elder. And now we've launched him out there in Mansfield to plant a church.
Now you have, and explain if I have the setup wrong. It's most churches that I've heard of, and I'm sure there's so many different ways to do it. But there's one pastor. You guys are a team of elders or pastors at the locations. Do I have that correct?
Basically, our ecclesiology is set up so that we have an elder board, and we have, technically we have staff elders and we have lay elders. So over here at the Wellsboro, in both locations, we all are under the same elder board. And so there's 9 of us right now who are elders, essentially equal in authority, maybe not equal in giftedness, right? Because there's all of us, we have different gifts that the Lord has given to us, but we all meet those qualifications in 1 Timothy chapter 3. We go through an elder internship here for that's actually a year long. And then the membership would vote on who they would want to have their elders to be. And so I happen to be one of the staff elders here at Christ Church, super blessed. And so I'm here, however, I was going to say 40 hours a week, but we all know that pastors work more than that and are not always in the office. Right. And so there's, I think, a total of 5 staff pastors, and we call them pastors and elders, but we're all elders.
Give me some of the advantages. Tell me some of the strengths because of the team that you see from your angle. The strength in many.
Well, right off the bat, I hate to use a negative example, but I also use a positive example to back that up. In a previous church where I was at, I had an elder team, but I did not really rely on them very much. I was a solo pastor, and dealing with hard situations in that case, pastors are always dealing with hard situations, and there are difficult issues, and some of those difficult issues deal with somebody in the membership or the congregation wanting specifically to do something, or somebody in the membership or congregation being in a particular sin, or there's something that would arise to make a really, you have difficult calls and difficult decisions. And for like a solo pastor or for a guy that was operating all by himself, one of the great benefits of having an elder team is that you can go back to those guys and you can say, I need some help with this. I need some backup with this. Am I doing this the right way? Can you give me some suggestions about this the right way? Is there anyone amongst you who would be particularly gifted in this time to deal with this particular situation, or one or two of you to be able to go and handle this in a godly sort of a way and resolve it in a godly and biblical way to strengthen the church? And so it's not just one guy or like a smaller staff of people. You've got a plurality of elders that would be able to bear the weight of ministry. That is such an absolute blessing. I can't tell you how many times I praise God that there are a team of elders to gather together, share wisdom, pray about situations, think things through. And it's not just all on my shoulders, but they help and help resolve those things. But then also in the wisdom of moving forward, hey, do we want to do this? Do we want to do this? And there are so many different decisions that you have to make about the future of the church, or a direction of the church, or how we want to preach, or what we want to teach. And so that leadership team of very qualified guys who are for the church and for one another are so helpful in making those decisions.
Talking with Pastor Joe Wagner at Christ Church in Wellsboro and Mansfield, and you talked about the strength in many, and God gives all of you different pastors different gifts. And I love it. If anybody who knows me, I love a good acronym. I understand, Joe, that you don't seem like a mad guy. You don't seem upset, but I understand you're the MAD, M-A-D.
MAD.
You're mad. Explain that, please.
Okay, when I came on board here, I was a pastor at another church for about 12 or 13 years. And just the way everything kind of rolled out, I did not actually come on board as a pastor or an elder here at this church. I actually came on staff, and the acronym was MAD, M-A-D. So that was member care, assimilation, and discipleship. So essentially, my duties on staff were to care for the membership, to assimilate, which that kind of sounds like a science fiction-y sort of a thing. We're assimilating you, but that's just a big word that says bringing people into the membership. So from the very first time that they come in the door as a visitor, walking them through, getting to know them, answering all of their questions, providing them with the answers that they want to know about the church. What's the church about? How do we do things? Setting up, we have membership classes that we walk people through, and then we have, and how our membership goes, an elder interview after that, and then a voting on by the membership. So like the assimilation portion is a lot of face time, a lot of people time that I absolutely love. But then there is also that process to walk people through to make sure that they want to become a part of the church, and that they know what they're getting into, because we really do believe in a meaningful membership here at Christ Church to really unite and bring the body together. So that's the assimilation portion of that. And then the discipleship portion of that really kind of picks up where the assimilation portion ends. So discipleship is everything from the Sunday morning sermon to, now I'm not in charge of that. Our senior pastor sets up the worship calendar and the worship schedule for sermons. But so preaching, teaching, one-to-one, small groups, like 1 to 2 sort of groups as well. So that is being able to help those Christians grow in their faith, in their love for Christ, and their love for the church, and their love for one another, really also in equipping them to serve the work, to serve the body. And so our goal is so that we all begin to look more and more like Christ as we mature. So that's the discipleship end of it. So it's member care, assimilation, and discipleship. It's all the things that I love about being a pastor. And then I went through the elder internship for a program with our elders for a year. And then when I became an elder, essentially, hey, I was on staff. I'm an elder, so I was a staff elder. And people just started calling me Pastor Joe, and that's how we got to here.
Again, just to be clear, you don't seem upset. You don't seem mad, but thanks for the explanation of the MAD. I love how MAD. I love how God uses different, he uses all of us, and they're our stories, but they're God's stories, really, of how people get to where they are, and God continues to grow us. And I've talked to people on this podcast, pastors that anywhere from they grew up in their church, their dad was a pastor, to the people who were self-proclaimed wild child kind of thing. I'll ask the question in this way. People who knew Joe Wagner in, I don't know, middle school, high school, would they be surprised that you are where you are now in your position?
What a great way to ask that question. They would absolutely be surprised. So I have a brother, so there's just two of us, and he was the one who was supposed to be a pastor. I was the wild child. And actually, right now, my brother is a pastor as well, but I'm the older brother, but I became a pastor before he did. The Lord did an incredible work in my life to, someday maybe I'll write a book, not because I'm important, but just to really show off the grace and the power of God to radically transform somebody who he'd be the last person that anybody would think would be a pastor. But he's brought me to here, and I thank God for it. And it really is a calling. I can't imagine doing anything else and being, I don't know, satisfied is not really the right word, but fulfilled, I guess is what you would say. But an incredible work in my life. And to make that question even a little bit more profound is I am pastoring in the same small town that I grew up in, and I'm pastoring 12 miles away from the university where I graduated from, and at Mansfield University. So there's a lot of people that know Joe Wagner's name.
Right. I was going to say you probably run into people. I
think that he's a pastor.
I was going to say you probably run into people all the time who knew you when and now know you now. How do you deal with that?
It's a great opportunity to share that testimony. It is difficult sometimes to work your way through. Sometimes when I go back to high school or I go back to university, it's like returning to the scene of the crime, to be honest with you. But it does open up doors to be able to display the incredible power that God has to call absolute sinners out of their sin and deal with them in a way that's just filled with grace and mercy and love. And I think I really have a great understanding of that. And so then I'm able to, on maybe my best days or better days, to be able to display that with folks. But also, I love rural ministry. I love small town ministry. And a great benefit that I have being so rooted in this area is that I know everybody and everybody knows me. And so when we need to go and talk to somebody about something or do this or do that, I usually have a little bit of a connection with at least somebody where we're going to try to get something done.
Yeah, it's just so awesome how God uses our stories, and you probably see things every day intertwined. It's like, wow, if this hadn't happened in my life, I wouldn't have the opportunity to talk to this person because of all these things. So it's just amazing. And you mentioned Mansfield University. I'm just guessing here, so you'll tell me if I'm right or wrong. But being so close to Mansfield University, when parents send their kids off to college and they are churched going into college, sometimes the kids kind of walk away or move away or drift away. Do you get many Mansfield University and other college students attending your church?
We do. The congregation over in Mansfield, the church plant that's actually meeting right there, they do get more of them than what we do. Mm-hmm. There was a baptism, I think, just a few months ago from a Mansfield University student. And again, an absolute total beautiful redemption that God had worked in that person's life. And so, having the new university nearby is really a benefit for us.
Tell us about some of the other, you mentioned you being the member care, assimilation, discipleship pastor. Tell us, what's the heart? that's a hard thing because that could be a long answer, but the heart of the church, what's Christ Church all about? Obviously Jesus, but can you put it in a nutshell, or what's the feel of your church? That's a hard one, I know.
I've got all sorts of answers. I'm trying to do this succinctly so that I don't go on and on. We are a larger church. We're one of the larger churches in the area. A lot of times people look at us and think that we might be cheating somehow. That just because we're big, everybody's coming here because we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing, and I'm a small church pastor before I came here. And so I kind of even felt like that. But I'll tell you, the heart of Christ Church is that the people really love one another. The people really love the Lord. They really want to hear God's word preached expositionally from sermons. I love to teach Sunday school. And in our adult Sunday school classes, people are just eating up and the lessons that we are sharing with them from the Bible, or how to study the Bible, or how to teach the Bible well, or how to disciple, or how to reach people for evangelism. It's just, I think that we really value God as high and holy and creator. We really value his word to preach expositionally every single Sunday. We really value meaningful membership, so that when you do become a member, it means something. And that's why they hired somebody specifically to oversee member care. So my job was not the guy to go and deliver the groceries, or to make the visits, or to send the cards. My job was to equip the saints within the church to do those things, because if it was just left up to one guy, I would miss people. Things would fall through the cracks. But the members are the ones who go and do that, and they are so sincere in doing that. So I think sincerity and love for the Lord and his word and one another is really a heart of Christ Church.
Talking to Pastor Joe Wagner of Christ Church, Wellsboro and Mansfield, and boy, I'll tell you, you couldn't do it. I think you'd be the first to admit this without your lovely bride, Ashley. Boy, pastors' wives, right? Could go on and on about that.
Absolutely. The Lord used her. I've only alluded to where the Lord had brought me out of the depths of just real of depression, of sinfulness, of absolutely not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And the Lord used her to draw me out of that. So you could say that she saved my life. You could say also that the Lord used her to help, launch that ship towards eventual ministry. And she has been such a support for myself. My wife, Ashley, she really, I think she's understated. She's quiet and she's shy. She's not always out front, but she has a strong, powerful, and even quiet ministry to other pastors' wives, to lift them up, to encourage them, to come alongside of them, because we know that being a pastor's wife is really, that might be a harder job than being a pastor, because at least we as pastors I get the opportunity to step behind the pulpit and go and meet with people, and kind of work out some of all the stuff that builds up. But pastors' wives often don't have the opportunity to do that. So I praise God for my wife so much. She's a wonderful wife and mother.
As we finish up here, and I can hear it in your voice, I can hear it in your heart. Just talking about your wife and the life that God has led you to, you must shake your head sometimes and go, boy, I don't deserve any of this, but isn't that the point, really? Amen.
It really is. He has blessed us in such great ways. I love what I do. I love the calling that he's called me to. We have 4 kids ranging from 17 years old to 2. He's even blessed us. Bless me in my old age with a son. And the blessings that he has given to us, I could not You cannot even count them. They just drive me to worship and the thoughtfulness of how great he is. And I need to thank them more. Is what I need to do.
Yeah, what a schedule you must have with 4 kids and those ages, and you with pastor and this and that, and
stay hopping.
Do you get time to relax? Do you have any tips for relaxing, getting away, and making that an intentional point?
All right, absolutely. I guess I've been in ministry now for 16 or 17 years. There were times in my early ministry, especially when I was trying to do all the work by myself as a solo pastor, when my wife and I just recently shared this with another pastor and his wife, of how I was not there, how people would call me on the telephone during dinner time, and rather than setting some boundaries, pastors have few boundaries, but we do need to set some boundaries. I would run off. And Ashley has shared there are many times when, especially for my older kids, I was not there all the time. Brothers and pastors, even ministry leaders, pastors' wives, you need to set some boundaries. Your first call is to the Lord. Your second call is to your wife and to your family, and your third call is to your church. And I really do believe that is a biblical thing. And when we set our minds that way and have that mindset, not only are we able to pour 100% into the church, into the flock that he's called us to lead and to shepherd, but we can do that in such a way that our wives do not get short shrift. We've been called to be priests in our own homes and to love our wives well, someday to present them before the Lord holy and blameless. And he's going to look at us. That's a great responsibility. So love your wife, be gentle with her, care for her, love her, raise up your kids to love their mom, to love the Lord, to love their church. And you got to say no sometimes. I guess if I'm going to share anything with pastors who are out there, you really do have to say no sometimes, or maybe not necessarily no, maybe wait. Hey, I can't do it right now, but in a couple hours I can, or let's set up a meeting tomorrow or the next day when we could really sit down and I can put the full weight of my brain behind this thing that we have going for us.
Pastor Joe Wagner, Christ Church in Wellsboro and Mansfield, thank you so much. You're a blessing to those around you, and I know you are feel blessed yourself to have such support, not only from your family but the congregation and people around you. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for doing what you do on a daily basis. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Appreciate you, brother.
You've been listening to episode 22 of The Calling, a Family Life original podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you heard, be sure to share it with others. And click the subscribe button so you know when future episodes are available. Family Life's original podcasts such as The Parable Podcast, Therese Talk, If That Makes Sense, 10 Minutes With, and the Rise Up Podcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or FamilyLife.org. Family Life is listener-supported, and your faithful partnership makes ministry outreach through podcasts like this possible. Find out more at FamilyLife.org.